So there will be a recording of this talk on the website, Linux user group, slug.com.au, right? .org.au. Okay. Okay, some joke. Well, maybe I can get like sort of a head count of who is actually here, a Linux user. How many people? Okay, everyone, right? Okay. Well, people can come up to a Linux user group just because you're interested. I've been once to an Open VMS user group, but I've never exactly right. Although I've never actually used like VMS, but it is an interesting system to look at. Like architecturally, it's still maybe even now, like in some ways, it's still the best like in clustering. I don't know. So, and how many people here have been using Linux for more than 10 years? Okay, well, so basically, it is about 80% of the people. That's impressive. How many people have been using Linux less than 5 years? Okay, so there are a few. Less than 1 year. Okay, so basically, most people have been using Linux at least, like everybody have been using it for at least 2 years, and majority for more than 10 years in this audience. And who is? Huh?
We're good to start.
Okay, well, I'm ready to start.
All right. So Sergey talking about file systems.
Okay. Well, welcome again to the Linux user group October meetup, the last day of October. The topics of today, I will start with the first talk on the plethora of choice in Linux, talking about distributions and the file systems. Just also to get an idea, who would like to hear more about distributions and who would like to hear more about the file systems? So that's file systems, okay. Half on distributions, so half. Okay. And how many people are here like Ubuntu users? Okay, so about 70%. Fedora, 10% or 15. Okay, so that is interesting. Okay, well, so most people when they start using with Linux, they are quite often overwhelmed with a variety of it. So there is two reactions. The one people some people who don't know anything about Linux, they think that Linux is a company. And when you tell them I'm working with Linux, like a few years ago, I used to get like, where is that? Is it in the CBD? Is it an American company? Like, so people did not understand that. Now, most people, wherever they're from, like Spain, like Germany, everybody knows what Linux is. It's hard to find a person globally in any country who doesn't know what Linux is. But it is also important to understand that Linux is nothing more than a kernel. So what we call a Linux is not actually Linux. Like Linux is just a small, tiny part of it, the kernel, important one. But what is wraps around it is the system utilities that are normally, probably 99% of the time, they're GNU utilities. And those GNU utilities, they are wrapped around distributions like Ubuntu, Fedora, SUSE, Slackware, Debian, and others. So distributions, how would we differentiate them? Basically, there are thousands of distributions. If we go to a website like distrowatch.com.au, that I very much recommend like to everybody, you will see like thousands of, well, more than 1,000 distributions over there. That's actually just an example. Let's go to the website and just have a look. Okay. So this is a very good website. Oh, you can see it. Okay. I will move it. Okay, hold on. Can you see it? Okay. So distrowatch.com is a very, very good website that basically keeps tracks of all the releases of the new distributions coming out. And it's been running for, I don't know how many years, for at least 5, 6 years, maybe 10. Why? Why is that laugh?
6 years. Yeah, at least that.
At least. Well, it's as long as I remember. Like, but maybe how long? How long do you think it was? 15. So, but this is just a website. It's not that it came out with the first distribution, right? The first Linux distributions came out about 1993. The first two were like Slackware and Debian. And actually, getting back about the history, Debian's founder, Ian Murdoch, he suggested to merge the two distributions at the time, right? But there was some kind of disagreement with the Slackware founder. So basically about the package management. So at the time, like Ian Murdoch, he really saw the prospects of using a package management, while the Slackware founder, like he wasn't convinced about that. He thought everything should be a source code. So, but if they agreed at the time, there would have been maybe just one big distribution. And later over the years, some other distributions would come up, like Red Hat, SUSE, and different folks. But just having a quick look at this website, right? You can, if I get my mouse there, if you look at just of this year, 2014, and refresh. So we get a long list of updates to different distributions that came about. So it is very easy to get lost. Which one should you actually use? Fedora, Red Hat, like Tails, Robo Linux, Ghost, IP5, CoreOS, like goes on and on and on and on. These are just those new releases for this year. If we do it like for all the history, there would be even more. But coming back to the talk, so basically, how would we get sense around all of this variety, about all this choice? What is the best one for you? To understand that, it is important kind of to understand what is the difference between all these hundreds and thousands of different distributions. Well, you can categorize all distributions into two big groups. One are source, oriented for the source code. So basically, getting support like for the packages are supported just 1 year. You're getting basically 2 releases. Releases every 6 months. After that, only 2, basically on the current release supported and the previous one. Everything else is not supported. Right? While enterprise ones, they have a support for like Red Hat like for 13 years. So if they ship today like a version of 5.3 or 5.2 PHP, that's for the next 13 years. You're guaranteed to get updates, security updates, bug fixes for this particular version of your product, be it OpenOffice or any other product. Okay. So 2 big differences, like so some are purely community supported, and others have an enterprise backend. Community are like primarily like Debian, Gentoo, Arch Linux, and enterprise. There's primarily 2 big distributions. It's either Red Hat or SUSE, which is has its origin in German. There are also like specialized distributions that are like, for example, for routing, or like firewalling, like a Vieta IP Corp, for rescue, for security. That will be like Tails. Well, so let's just come back to the DistroWatch. Website and have a look. Right. So Potted Magic is, for example, we'll just give example. Potted Magic is one for the rescue. FreeBSD is not Linux. Kali Linux is I don't know what it is. So it's a Backtrack. Backtrack is a security-oriented distribution, so it has prepackaged tools for penetration testing, some forensics utilities. Apify, firewall distribution. Netrun, I don't know. Clanzilla, something to make backups. Music's oriented more for the audio. Users who like digital studios. System Rescue CD, it's an excellent, very much recommended distribution for the restore of the if something goes wrong with the system, for rescuing your systems. Very much recommended. It is Gentoo based.
System Rescue CD has tools for rescuing Windows.
Yeah, so basically most of these, like System Rescue CD, will have tools to reset your Windows. If you have to deal with a Windows machine, it can reset passwords on the Windows machines, like for administrator account, like edit files on them. And the same is for Linux. So it supports like most file systems that are out today, even not very much used, like Ryzer 4. So it has support for all of that. So very much recommended. Like Backbox, don't know. Monowall, it's another FreeBSD. Okay, Kane is another security-oriented distribution more for forensic analysis and penetration testing. Again, sort of Backtrack. Again, don't know. Ubuntu is another fork, not a fork, one of the projects of Ubuntu with the XFCE front end, desktop environment, simplicity for NetBSD, not Linux. Scientific is a fork of Red Hat by the CERN, like European Nuclear Research Community. Tails is something that like Snowden has been recommending to use for like journalists he was communicating with. So it's a distribution designed for privacy, to make yourself less visible on the internet and to leave less traces. Yeah, so basically, as it was said, so it's a basically Debian-based distribution that uses Tor to help anonymize users. Ubuntu is probably the most common distribution of the day today, which is a fork of Debian done by like originally by the guy like Mark Shuttleworth, and like who founded the company Ubuntu. Canonical. Freeness, cool. Android is also a Linux distribution for the mobile devices, probably the most common mobile device platform today. I guess, but yeah. gparted, well, we talked about also for rescuing systems, primarily for the repetitioning, but has tools for doing rescue. Calculated Linux is a Gentoo-based distribution, more oriented to make Gentoo more suitable for the server systems. Linux from scratch. This is an amazing one. So basically, it's not even a distribution. It's a book. It's a book that basically tells you how to build your own Linux distribution from scratch. Basically, taking source code and your computer, and you can have your own distribution. There's no package management, nothing. You create your distribution from nothing, from the source code. So they take you from zero into creating your own Ubuntu or whatever, and whatever you call it. So they, besides the book, they also ship like a zip file of packages that basically you can use for building your own distribution. So it's a very good learning tool. BSD. Puppy is a very small Linux distribution, which is the image is 162 megabyte only. There are some that are just 20 megabytes in size. Like Core, I think. Core is a fully fledged like Linux distribution that is only 21 megabyte in size. But when you run it, you will get a graphical desktop and a web browser, I think. Yeah, so basically you can boot in under a second. Yep.
Back up there, you had Zentel. You ever seen that one?
No, never heard of it. Zentel.
It's like a replacement for a small business office server.
Okay.
So it has Asterisk server on there. It has, an Active Directory replacement. All the little tools that you would want in a little office to run your business.
So basically, I'll just repeat to the microphone. Zentel is a distribution for small and medium business that wraps around it like all the tools that small and medium business might use, like Office, management, file systems, mail server, PIBX. So basically, you can have your own phone system in the software. Like you can manage your digital phones, IP phones from it. Yep. So Opensuse is an official fork of the SUSE Linux Enterprise Server that was done after successful fork of the basically from Red Hat or Fedora. So basically, back like 15 years ago, there was no Fedora didn't exist. There was no Opensuse. So it was enterprise distribution, like a Red Hat, for example, that was the same for both users who paid and who did not pay money. So what Red Hat did is they basically separated enterprise that would they support for 12 years from the community. So they sort of closed the repositories of the enterprise only for those customers who were paying money to them. But at the same time, they created a fork, like a Fedora, that would be upstream. It would always be ahead, would be a testing base for all the new changes, for all the new packages. And another big main competitor, probably the only one in the corporate Linux, besides Canonical, like SUSE, who also had a SUSE Linux Enterprise server. They also decided to make a fork of their distribution and call it Opensuse. That is always ahead of the main enterprise. If anybody sees something that they've been using, please raise a hand. Yeah, which one? Ubuntu. Good. Okay, so Clonezilla is for backups, cloning. This is a BSD based. I don't know. Next Center Store is not a Linux. It's a Solaris based. Zorin. Don't know. Oracle. Okay, that's another good one. So basically, I think 2-3 years ago, Oracle decided to clone the Red Hat Enterprise Linux distribution. So prior to that, they would recommend all the Oracle customers to use Red Hat Enterprise Linux as a primary operating system. So it was preferable to Windows or anything. So it was Red Hat. But then a few years ago, they decided to have their own support. They have their own enterprise Linux. But the interesting bit is that they just basically clone. There's very little change in their distribution. They do support some additional stuff like KSpice, like Zen, that Red Hat doesn't support, but primarily just a clone. Whatever changes Red Hat does, they just repackage them and releases that Oracle Enterprise Linux. SME is another probably small and medium business oriented distribution, CentOS based. CentOS, there haven't been any releases yet, but is basically a clone of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, also repackaging it.
CentOS and Red Hat are now cooperating with each other.
Yes, yes. So basically, about 4 months ago, Red Hat has hired 3 or 4 main developers of the CentOS project. So now they're officially hired by Red Hat. But so far, I can't say how much it has affected the distribution. Definitely the front page of the website of the project has changed. And they have announced that there will be some spins oriented so not just one CentOS distribution, but different versions of it oriented for the different particular purpose. But okay, Daft Ubuntu. Huh? Edge Ubuntu. Okay, so it's Ubuntu, but with a set of packages for the educational users, right? For the schools. KNX. X Ubuntu. So what was it? Okay, Myth Ubuntu is basically version of Ubuntu to do basic TV, like Apple TV. So some where you can convert your small Raspberry Pi or some small computer into full-featured TV. Cubes OS. Okay. Yes, correct. Oh, okay, that's Tinyco. Yep. Okay. So Cubes OS, that is a very interesting project by Anna Rutkowska, like a Polish researcher in the security, who was very unsatisfied with the state of the current Linux distributions, like ecosystem, when basically any application to an extent can potentially take control of the whole system. So there was not enough protection, in her opinion, of the users from their own applications. So CubesOS is an attempt to put any application that is running into, or set of applications into Xen via virtualization. So basically, if you are running Adobe Reader, some PDF reader, or like a Firefox, it will run in its own virtual machine. But the virtual machine will only have a particular browser of that particular application. Or you can set, like, in this container, I would like to have an OpenOffice and a web browser and something else, and you run it. So basically, all applications are wrapped for the hardware-based virtualization of the machine. Press X, silence. Okay, which one? What was it? I didn't see it. Okay, Zenwalk, Tails. Okay, OpenBSD is the BSD. Okay. Fedora is a distribution for Fedora fork oriented for the Raspberry Pi devices.
Steam.
Huh?
SteamOS.
SteamOS. Can you say